Okay, today what we'll do is continue with last day's lecture, which was on universal motor, and we had seen how compensation was done in universal motor. And at last, what we will do is that we'll see whether the better power factor is provided for a compensated AC series motor or not than the ordinary universal motor. That is the reason why you should go for compensation. So this parts we had already done that this R was equal to your armature resistance plus your field resistance plus your compensating winding resistance. If there you want to place an interpole, so plus the interpole resistance of the winding. So that will be there. In some books they have given interpoles also. So you can include that and write the equation over here. Ultimately, we were getting this waveform. This was the simplified versions where we had neglected all the minus terms. This was minus ETSD, minus ERAD, minus was neglected. And the ISC, the no load part was neglected. So this I was coming in phase with our field flux. And that's why this IX was 90 degrees to this and IR was parallel to this I. So this was our thing which we had done, and we had already derived ERAD equal to CIN. ETSD we know is the jth term because this is 90 degree to I. So this is EMF E. So in terms of I, if you want to write, so you need to write JI that will represent this imaginary axis into IX. So IX is nothing but your E. If you write your VT, if you write your VT, so what will be VT? I plus IR plus ICIN means this ERAD. Instead of writing this ERAD, we have written directly CIN. And plus JIX. What are the X over here? And the X in this small X over here and this XMD taken common. All these things written over here. Next, we had already seen in the normal universal motor that how to calculate our speed and so from here you can calculate your speed and how you did. This was our a plus jb. So you could have write root over a square plus b square. From that you can calculate your n. I'll not go into the procedure how to calculate. You can do it on your own. So this is that's why the square root is coming. You see a plus jb. So square root of a square plus b square. You need to remove the square root. So square of both sides. Then again do the square root. So that's why this square root is coming. So this comes your equation of your speed in a compensated AC series motor. So up to this we had already done. And now what we'll do, we'll follow the same steps. Next what we did, since it is a DC series motor, we know that TE, the torque will be Ki squared. Okay, so that's TE in terms of T is because we want to plot the speed torque characteristics. So what we'll do, instead of writing in terms of I and all, we'll want to draw the speed torque characteristics. So I will be replaced by your torque. So how will I replace by a torque? So I square is basically how much T by K. So that is replaced over here. So this is I square over here, Vt square by I square. So Vt square by I square, what is I square? T by K. So T by K, K goes in the numerator. And rest all term remains same. Now what about the power factor? Now power factor for the uncompensated machine, we had already derived one equation. You can write in that term only. But secondly, you can also write that power factor of any circuit is R by Z. Now, if you go into the circuit over here, if you see this equation, okay, so what will be is R? R is nothing but R plus Cn, right? R plus Cn is your real part, and what will be your Z root over A square plus B square, that is I taken common. So R root over R plus Cn whole square plus X plus XMD whole square. So R plus Cn whole square plus X plus XMD whole square or X plus X whole square because it was uncompensated. So we had taken it X. In case of uncompensated, it instead of X is XMD. So these were the two power factor equations. Now generally where if you do some test and you know how to find out the equivalent circuit parameters of any machine. So we can do those tests and find out those equivalent circuit parameters, and if you find out for a particular machine for an uncompensated as well as a compensated one, it will be found out that XMD is less than your X. So if XMD is less than your X, So this quantity, the denominator is less. So that's why the total magnitude of this term will be more. So power factor of the compensated machine is more than your uncompensated machine because your XMD is less than your X value. So this is what we want to I wanted to show you what is the difference between uncompensated and a compensated AC series motor. The power factor is improved in case of compensated AC series motor, which was a problem in the previous case. Now some important points you need to remember. Basically I'll just go through it in short. Universal motors are very simple and cheap, easily available, and mainly the ratings are around 750 watt, not more than that. Maybe recent advancement has been more, but generally previously it was around 750 watt. And since your universal motor is derived from your DC series motor only, characteristics we had already seen. If you look into the last day's lecture, I'll just show you once you go into fourth lecture, and I think it's drawn over here. Yeah. Yeah. If you look into the characteristics of your speed torque, this was a DC speed torque characteristic for a DC machine. And as the frequency was increasing, we were showing how it was dropping. We had shown you the reason also how this X was increasing because it was only dependent on frequency. That's why your speed was decreasing. So for a DC series motor, it follows the, and for this AC series motor also same characteristics is followed. Okay, but the DC characteristics is more. It is having a more value. Means it's more for the same amount of torque, you will get a high value of speed. If it was actually operated on DC, if it is actually operated on AC, you will have a less value. So that's the main difference. But characteristic wise, shape is same. So that's what is written in the second point. The characteristic is similar to DC series motor, but series motor develops less torque when applied on AC supply, and equivalent compared to an equivalent DC supply. Okay, this motors are very small motors and they have a very high speed of around 20,000 rpm. And how this speed is controlled? Speed is controlled generally by a solid state devices, that is, are using power electronics. So we had talked about power electronics, how output of power electronic converters can be converted from AC to DC, DC to AC, and that output could be used to control the voltage of this motors. And if you control the voltage, your speed can be controlled. You see how your N and voltage is related, right? If you control this VT using your power electronics converter, your speed will obviously change. So that's why we can bring a better control of the speed when we are using a solid state devices to give the input supply voltage. And since its speed is very high, it's used in drills, dryers, grinders, vacuum cleaners. You may see dryers at your home, vacuum cleaners at your home, how speedily the motor of that rotates. So some of the major application of universal motor are those things. So you can go through all these points. Okay. Most important thing is this problem. So how to approach a problem of a universal series motor. Now, in a universal series motor, so the resistance is given 30 ohm and inductance is given 0.5 ohm. Now, if you look into the problem over here, this Ix are all are directly given, right? If you check the what else? If you check the main circuit, instead of doing the simplified phasor diagram, another phasor diagram I had shown you. I had shown you all components: I, RA, RF, RC, all the components were there, all added together, shown as a whole over here. So that's why I told you to remember this part only, this one only, because in your exam, all this will given as a whole only. If given separately, you just add it. Okay, generally problems are given like this only. As a whole, the resistance is given. As a whole, the inductance is given. So as a whole, everything is given. So no need to calculate again and again separately. Supply voltage is given 250 volt. When loaded, it takes a current of 0.8 ampere. That means is the current to the armature, and its speed is given 2000 rpm. So what we need to do is speed. Mm, we need to determine the speed, torque, power factor when connected to the 250 volt supply. AC supply and loaded to take the same current. Now this is solution one method I am showing you. This method is that if you don't remember the formulas, all these formulas I have shown you, if you don't remember this formula, but you know the concept of how the single phase AC universal motor works, and you know the phasor diagram, you can do all these calculations. It is not possible to remember all so much formulas at a time, but if you have the concept, you can draw your this one. You have your I over here. IR will be in the same direction over here. IX will be at 90 degree. IR, IX and sorry, your EB will give you your VT, terminal voltage. You can draw this IRA over here also, as shown over here. See, IR drawn over here. You can draw this over here also. Same thing, you can draw this one over here also. Doesn't matter. But it should be in phase with the current. See, IARA is in phase with IA. IAXL is in 90 degrees to IA. So that should be maintained wherever you want to draw it. You can draw this IARA over here also. So first thing what we do is find out this EB. Okay. So what is that EB? Under DC condition we have to find out. Okay. So that is for a motor is V minus IARA, you know. What is V? 250. What is IA given? 0.8. What is RA given? 30. Or RA means the total, everything. Okay. In total. So 250 minus 0.8 into 30 is 226 volt. Now this motor will now be operated on a AC supply, right? Okay, it was connected on a DC supply loaded and this one. So under DC supply we had calculated this value. Now if it is connected to AC supply, now if it connected to AC supply, the X part will come into role. This XL will come into role. You know how to calculate your XL, 2 pi FL, 2 pi FL. So 2 pi into 50 into 0.5. That gives you 157 ohms. Now from the phasor diagram, if you calculate your V, what will be V? It is IARA plus EBAC, because what IARA and EBAC are in same phase. That's why these are added together at the same time. Please understand this. IARA and EBC are in same phase. So this is the real component because this is going in the real axis. So this is IARA plus EBAC is your real component plus J IAXL because it is 90 degrees to it. So instead of writing it in J form, I have written it in magnitude form. That's what I have changed over here. So A square plus B square. So IARA plus EBAC whole square plus IAXL whole square. Then you calculate this EBAC bringing this IAXL on the left hand side. So you get V square minus IAXL. Then square root of that term minus of this, you will get this value. Okay, EBAC. Then substitute all your general values. What is V? It is 250. What is IA? 0.8. What is XL? Already calculated 157. IA is 0.8. RA is 30. Do this calculation, you will get this magnitude AF as 192. DF as 192.12. Now, the same machine over here is being applied from first connected to DC, then given to a AC supply. Okay. And obviously when connected to this takes the same current. So same current is produced. Since your universal motor is a series motor, right? So current will be same in both cases. So if it is a AC supply also, DC supply also, both cases current are same as stated in the question, and your current only affects your flux. So that's why your flux will also be equal. And you know what is your EB proportional to P5 Zn by 60. So that is Kn5. All the constant parts taken Kn5. We are taking all these formulas by our general concepts of DC machine only. See, you can remember all this. EB is equal to Kn5, where K is equal to P Z N by P Z A 60. All those things comes over here. That K. So since it is DC part, so NDC 5DC. This is AC, so NAC 5AC. This flux are same because same current, so this cancels out. This KK cancels out, so NDC by NAC. So you can calculate the speed under AC condition. So NAC is equal to, you are calculating this NAC. This goes in this side, so NDC remains. So NDC remains. EBAC goes in the numerator. So EBAC goes in the numerator. EBDC comes in the denominator. So already calculated EBAC. This one EBDC calculate 226. So 192 by 226 into NDC already given in question. When it is running on 250 volt DC supply, it is having a speed of 2000 RPM. So into 2000. So that gives you 1700 RPM. Now from here also I can show you that if it was occurring in DC, operating in DC, what was my speed? 2000 RPM. Now if it is that same motor is operated on AC, what is my speed? 1700 RPM. So just now we had seen my speed torque catalyst droops as my supply changes from DC to AC. So this is one mathematical proof you are getting, that as soon as the supply changes to AC, my speed from 2000 falls to 1700 RPM. Now, how can you calculate your power factor? If you calculate your power factor, you take this triangle and find out the value. So that will be EBAC plus IARA divided by V over here. We'll take this triangle AFG and substitute this value. What is EBAC? 192. What is IARA? 0.8. What is RA? 30. What is V? 250. We will get 0.8645. And always lag because there is no effect of capacitance. So there will be inductive effect always. So there is a lag. And you can see over here V current. So from V to I, we are going in the clockwise direction. So there is a lagging effect. Now, next thing what we have done, we have found out our speed, we have found out our we have found out a power factor cos phi. I found out a power factor cos phi, we have to find out a torque. So torque is easy, you know what is torque? Torque is powered by omega. What is power? The mechanical power developed, that is EBAC into IA. Why we are doing EBAC into IA? Because now the machine is operated in AC. So we no need to take care of this EBDC. So now all these things we have to calculate under AC supply. So this EBAC has to be taken care of, not the 226. 192 we have to take off. And what is IA? Is 0.8. So it comes 153.7. And then you put in this formula. P make is 153.7 divided by omega m. So omega m is 2 pi n AC. N again AC, because all this torque what is developed is under AC condition. So 2 pi, what is my AC speed? Is my 1760 RPM. But since we have omega m, you know, is radian per second. So this should be n small, this should be small n, that is RPS. But we have already calculated in RPM. So we have to divide it by 60 to get it in RPS. So that is shown over there. Okay. Solution 2, we'll go fast through it because this is just by formula. We have derived all this formula. Vt is equal to IR plus CIR. This is all the formulas from which we had derived, which we have derived. If you remember the formula, you can just put. So you just put it equal to 0.8 into 30. Or C we don't know. I we know it. We can put I over here, but you can use CI constant also, because later you will be using CI over here. You can write in this term also. So CI into 2000, N is given when the motor is in DC is 2000. So CI 2000 is equal to 250, VT is 250 minus 24, 226. So CI you are getting this one. XL next you have to calculate it. VT is equal to, see, same equation only. This equation only we have written over here. But in our whatever method we have studied. So Vt is equal to I into R plus Jx plus Cin. Substitute all these values. Okay, then what you have to do, since it is a J term, you have to do square of both sides. So A square plus B square. So you do the same things over here. Then calculate your Cin. So that comes up to be 192. Ci is 226 by 2000. Substitute over here, you will get 1699 RPM. Point something, and over here 1700 RPM. So it is similar. Okay. What is the power factor? This is a general formula we have derived. If you don't remember your phasor diagram, you can use your general formula, this one, or you can use this general formula which you have written over here, R by Z. This was one formula which you have derived. You can use this formula also. Whatever values you have got, use those. Using those values, you have to think which formula is applicable. So CIN plus IR, CIN is nothing but 192. Right, plus IR you can calculate it, means 0.8 into 30. So 192 plus 30 gives you 216 divided by VT 250 is equal to 0.864. Okay, please take care of that. So this is how you can solve the problem. You just go through the formula 192 plus, yeah, 192 plus 24 is 216. Okay, correct. So you can get your power factor same 0.864, which is coming over here also 0.8645. So this is how you can solve a problem. Okay. This is another problem which I have shown over here. You just go through it. I am not describing it again. So you just go through it. Same type of problem over here. Current power factor using power. Using power. Just a different. Using power, you can calculate your ERAD or ERAD in terms of I and use the same formula over here. All these formulas, what we have done is using the concept what we have used. Okay, direct formulas. And over here, I have shown you how to to derive all the formulas using phasor diagrams. So you can follow any method. In many books, you will see this method. In many books, you will see this method. So I have shown you both the methods. So this ends your universal motor. Okay, next part of our lecture is the second type of motor, which is you should know is a brushless DC motor. Okay, brushless DC motor. This is almost theoretical. You should need to understand some of the concepts. We will describe it. So, what is a brushless DC motor? First thing, brushless DC motor. Even though we are talking about DC motors, but all these things are operated on AC. Just now we had seen universal motor. That motor is applied DC, but the concept was taken from a DC series motor, but the supply was AC. So over here also even the concept over here is taken from a DC motor only. That means in a DC motor, from the name only you can understand. The most important difference from a DC motor to this is that there is no brush over here. So brushless DC motor. So it is again a AC motor. It is a permanent magnet synchronous motor. Now, a permanent magnet synchronous motor are basically classified into two types according to the EMF rate develops. Means the shape of the EMF at they develop. Okay, one is trapezoidal type, one is sinusoidal type. The general trapezoidal type goes under this brushless DC motor consideration. Okay, and the sinusoidal type is a different type of motor. We'll see only how the EMF is trapezoidal over here, and those permanent magnet synchronous machine which has a trapezoidal type of EMF is a permanent magnet brushless DC machine. Now what is done over here? There is a combination of your permanent magnet and the electromagnetic fields to produce the torque over here. One thing over here is that we don't have a brush over here. Okay, we don't have a brush. The commutation or all the things, the commutator and the brushes are not available. All these things are done by power electronics. That means we have a power electronics converter. Commutation is done through that only. Okay, so in the DC motor, what it is done, it is used a stator, armature is used over here. Okay, and over here it is a combination of the permanent magnet and electromagnetic field over here. Again, same thing, but extra thing over here which is present over here is a power electronics device which helps in the commutation. Now, in a brushless DC motor, the rotor incorporates the magnet, is very important over here, and the stator incorporates the winding. It is just the complete opposite to your motor. I mean, DC motor. In a DC motor, your armature is rotating, your field is static. That means it contains the poles. But over here, the rotor incorporates the magnets and the stator contains the windings. So brushes are absent. Just now I have told you. So commutation, how it is done? It is implemented electronically with the drive amplifier that uses semiconductor switches. That is basically our power electronics converter. BLDC motor is equivalent to a DC motor. Okay. Only thing is that magnet rotates over here and the conductor remains stationary. Therefore, BLDC motor incorporates internal or external position sensors to sense the actual rotor. This will come to it later. Why we need this? Just now understand that it is just completely opposite in construction to the normal DC motor. So over here, what we are doing is using electronics commutation. So brushless DC motor is also known as electronically commutated motor. Okay, and asynchronous motor powered by direct current via an inverter. So you know what is an inverter doing? Inverter converts your DC into AC. Okay, so you are converting the DC into AC, and that is given to a brushless DC motor. Okay. Now, one thing is that brushless DC motors, since these are AC motors, it can be operated. The general brushless DC motors are available in two-phase, three-phase. The three-phase are the more common brushless motors. DC motors. Will study about that one. What are the types? We will just see. Just a theoretical overview. Okay, nothing so much detail about like in the universal motor. We'll just see the circuit and understand. Now next what I have done is made some point of difference between the electronic commutator and mechanical commutator and the brushes, because the DC machines have mechanical commutator, and now we are making the commutation in terms of commutation is done through our power electronics. So using power electronics, if you are doing what we need, the basic essential thing is that we need some switches. So first point relates to that semiconductor switching. Semiconductor switching devices are used. Next, what is happening in mechanical commutator and brushes? You know how are mechanical commutator and brushes made up? Commutator are made up of copper segment, and brushes, are made up of carbon or graphite. Now, how is this connected? Electronic commutator. This electronic switches or the commutating switches are connected to the stationary armature wire, because switches can't rotate, right? And over here in this case, the armature is not rotating. So that's why the commutating switches are connected to the stationary armature wire. But whereas the commutator arrangement is located on the rotor, which is the rotating part, correct? Now what we need over here, since we are using the power electronic switches, those switches has to be controlled, right? So those switches has to be given gate pulse, and accordingly it can be turned on, and how the switches are being turned on, that determines my output voltage. So all these things we had already discussed. So power electronics is basically a implementation of this, means you can implement power electronics into your machine also. So what is basically needed over here, we need to get gate pulse to the switches, and accordingly it will be turned on. And how this gate pulse is given, we have to sense the rotor position. So in order to sense the rotor position, a Hall sensor is used. So sensor is required. Okay, so rotor position sensing is required. But over here there is no need of you don't need a position sensor in case of your normal DC motor. It normally rotates accordingly, because there is no need of giving pulse to switches, and required voltage should be produced. We just give a supply, it starts rotating. That's normal. Since we are talking about three-phase brushless DC motor, how many switches will be required? 6. Because in three-phase inverter, how many switches are required? 6. But in this case, if it is a brushless DC motor, there will be large number of commutator segments and tappings. This already Now what is happening in case of, if you are using brushes and commutator, there is a serious problem of sparking, wear and tear of the brushes. So you need more maintenance. Okay, so that's why this will have regular maintenance is required. Sorry, this is unreliable. Okay, because there will be regular maintenance required. This carbon brushes may acquire wear and tear, so a little bit unreliable. Sorry for the mistake. But over here, there is a more reliability over here. There is no sparking, no problem of that. So that is a very good thing over here. And if you want to tap the voltage between the commutator segments, it's very difficult. But if you want to tap the voltages over here and try to study what are the phase voltages, line voltages, we can easily do. We had already seen in inverter topic. We can use the PWM technique, vary the voltage, and see what is the effect on the output voltage. All these things can be done, but over here we can't do it. So those are the main differences between electronic commutator and mechanical commutator. So what are the advantages? Basically, some of the advantages I have jotted it down. These are highly reliable, faster dynamic response, better speed torque characteristic, longer operating life, noiseless operation, and all these things. Okay, and all these things are mainly because of the without the use of brushes, it has high efficiency, longer operating life, and noiseless operations. It has a higher speed range. Yeah. And if you see the another difference is that very important. If you see the ratio of torque to the size of the motor, it's higher in this case. That means for a smaller size of the motor, it can support a higher torque. So wherever there is a space and weight critical factors that is present, means you have to use a smaller size motors that will give a higher torque. Then compared to a DC motor, you can use a brushless DC motor because for the same torque, it will require a smaller size. Now, these are some of the points I have jotted down in terms of BLDC and conventional DC motor. In terms of the construction, you can just go through it. Permanent magnet field on the rotor, and electromagnetic field system on the stator. Armature is on the stator, armature is on the rotor. All these things you can do. Commutation is done by power semiconductor device. Commutation is done by brushes of commutator mechanical. I'm just not reading it down again and again. All these points we have discussed and I have jotted it down over here. We just go through all these points. These are main differences and these are the advantages over the normal DC or induction motors compared. Some of the major applications, BLDC motors, major applications, one can be used in constant load, varying load, as well as positioning applications. Over here, I have given some points over here. Just one line description about each thing. I'm just saying in my own words. What is application? First thing, all these points we'll discuss: constant load, varying load, position application. Now, constant load, what is happening in constant load? Now, if you think about a constant load means the speed is constant over here. Okay, it is not changing. Now you could take a example of a fan or the pumps which we have in home. Okay, the speed of the machine does not change abruptly. Means you have to come to the switchboard, change the knob and change the speed. It doesn't change abruptly. You can't just sit somewhere else and every 1 second the speed of the fan is changing. The speed is constant. Only if you move the knob of the fan on the switchboard, then only the speed is changing. So acceleration, deceleration rates are not dynamic over there. Okay, so these are the type of applications where constant with constant loads. So fans, pumps are some of the examples, and that's why a BLDC motor can be used over here with constant load. You can obviously the most important application is using single phase induction motor with capacitor. Okay, but nowadays those are replaced by BLDC motor because of many advantages. Okay, so low cost controllers are used, so you don't need basically any controller. I'll say it is not operating. It is operating under control, the constant speed. Only if you go to the knob and change the speed, then only you are going into any action of controller. So the low cost controller is required. The switch, the knob which you are using for regulator, which you are using, those are very low cost. So low cost regulators are used, and basically it is open loop, right? You have to come to the regulator and change it. So it's not a closed loop function. But if it is a variable load, then what you need is that if it is variable load, that means the speed varies over certain ranges. Then there should be high control over speed and good response should be required, right? Means every moment the speed is changing. For some 5 seconds, speed is this one. For next 5 seconds, speed is this one. If their speed is changing over here, now if you think about driving an electric vehicle, the speed you are traveling on a road. Okay, sometimes you go in a constant speed of suppose 20 kilometer per hour. Then suddenly a car comes in front of you, you decrease the speed. Then suddenly you want to apply the brake, you decrease the speed. Suddenly you want to increase the speed because you want to accelerate in an open road. So the speed control is required over there. So in that case also the motors that are used, you can use BLDC motors. And over there, most important thing is that since you are applying in varying load condition, feedback is required always. So these are very important. We need a speed feedback of these devices. Maybe in certain devices, current feedback, torque feedback, everything is required in these devices. So a closed loop operation is very important over here, or a semi-closed loop operation is. And if you are using a closed loop operation, obviously you need to install some algorithm over there. Means you need to write some program so that it senses this data, processes that data, and sends a feedback to the controller, which will determine the speed of the system. So that's a very important thing over here. If you are using in case of constant load, controllers are very low cost. But over here, since it is closed loop control, the controllers becomes costly. And lastly, very important, position control. The most important position in controlling, best example is I want to say in robotics. You want to control the position of a robot. Very important. Very precisely you have to control the position of the robot. So that's where BLDC also comes into role. You can use a BLDC motor for doing all these things. Okay. So proper constant speed phase there may be accelerating phase, there may be deacceleration phase, there may be positioning phase. Just now I had discussed over here now with the example of car. You may have acceleration, you have deacceleration. You need to position your car also according to the traffic in the lane, in which lane you want to place your car. So that those things are very important. So control logic has to be very complex, and obviously there should be many control loops like torque control, speed control, position control. All this has to be sensed from the output, fed back to the controller, and the controller will decide what is right for the system. So you can go through all these things, application wherever it is required. Some main other applications are also given over here. If you want to look into the details how to use, just search. Okay, do a internet search and how these points are used. You can get lot of detail about these things. The next thing is that very important is that we need to have a produce a gating pulse for our switches so that they get turned on and off at some particular instant, so that we can have a control of the output voltage. So that because we need positioning control, we need acceleration, deacceleration, all these things are needed. So that's why we need to sense the output, very important. So that's why we need a Hall sensor. So you know that commutation of BLDC is done electronically. To rotate the BLDC motor, the stator windings must be energized in a sequence, obviously, and that how that should be energized is according to the data sensed by our Hall sensor. So what happens? The rotor position is sensed by the Hall sensors, and since it's a three-phase motor, you need three Hall sensors. Okay, sensing all the three data. Then accordingly, it will give the required data. So suppose like this, if you think like this, if the rotor means the stator is rotating over here. Okay, so the poles will rotate. The poles producing the stator will rotate, and they will get as soon as the poles go across the passes across the Hall sensor, it will give a high signal or a low signal for either for a north pole or a south pole. Suppose for north pole it gives a high signal, for south pole it gives a low signal. So according to that, it determines the data, which how it has to be rotated, with what way it has to be rotated. All this are sensed through the rotation of the rotor, and those data are collected through Hall sensors. Next thing is that how is this stator? The stator over here is made up of stacked steel lamination. All stators are made up of steel laminations, you know. So the stator of the BLDC are generally made up of stacked steel laminations. Why laminations are made, you know, because to reduce your eddy current losses. Okay. And windings are obviously placed in the slots that are placed on the stator. So those things are common everywhere in any machine. Slots are there, and in that windings are made, and they are laminated. They has to be laminated to reduce those cold losses. Okay. So generally, if you see any block means any representation of the stator of your brushless DC motor, it looks like similar to the induction motor. We had seen the stator of an induction motor. I had shown you pictorially the stator of the induction motor. It looks similar over here, and the windings are also distributed in windings are also distributed in those slots. Okay. And generally, all connections of the BLDC stator windings are made in star fashions. Okay. And the EMF that is distributed are trapezoidal in nature, because we had seen what type of permanent magnet motor we are using. We are using trapezoidal permanent magnet motor. So it basically looks into this shape like this. So trapezoidal, first this one, then this one like this. It looks like a trapezoidal shape. All these three phases A, B, B, C, C, A are separated by 120 degree. So from here it ends at 120, then it starts over here, starts at 0, then this one starts at 120, this one starts at 240. So this is how the waveform forms over here. Now, why this waveform forms? You know all this. I'll give a hint. I don't have to explain all these things because you all know all these things. You just see what I'm going to tell in the next two slides. So over here, what is that? Generally, you can go through this point. I'll just tell you what are the power ratings. Generally, BLDC motors over here means BLDC motors are used of 48 volts or less than that. Those are used in robotics, very important application. Small arm movements in robots, you have arm movements. And if motors with 100 volts are used, they are used in automation and industrial applications. Okay. In case of the rotor you know is your permanent magnet. Okay. So generally 2 to 8 pairs of poles are there, of north-south poles, and they should be made up of proper material so that you get a greater flux density over there. You know, the more the flux, more will be the EMF. So we should choose a better material over there. Generally, we can use ferrite magnets. Okay. And also some earth alloy magnets can also be used, or some earth alloy magnet. But there are some disadvantages as well as advantage over here, because we need to develop more EMF in the means more flux in the rotor. So what we need to do, we have to use rare earth alloy magnets, because in ferrite magnets they are less expensive, but the flux density produced by them is very less. Means flux by per unit area is very less. Okay, so that's why we can use, instead of using ferrite magnets, which can also be used, we can use alloy material also, which has higher flux density per volume. Now, these are some of the shapes of the different rotor codes, where you can see all the north-south poles are on the periphery. Some over here, there are rectangular shaped magnets which are embedded in the rotor. Now, over here, rotor magnets are inserted into the, means rectangular magnets are inserted into the rotor core. This is a rotor core, those are inserted into this. These are completely disconnected from the rotor core, just magnets are placed around this periphery. So what are the elements that you can use for alloy material? You can just go through it and you can expect 1 marks question from here. What are the materials used as alloy materials? That is Nd, samarium, cobalt, neodymium, dynamium. All these things can be used as alloy magnets. And these are the cross sections of your rotor core. Now this behaves as a similar as your DC machine only, so we can write the voltage equation. V is equal to Ra plus LdI by dt plus Eb. Okay, so we have written over here per phase we are writing it. So for Vn, Van will be the phase A, RaIa, d by dt of LaaIa. We are taking into consideration the self inductance and the mutual inductance also. So LaaIa plus LBAIB plus LCAIC plus EA. Accordingly, you can write all this to VBN and VAN. Sorry, this will be VCN. Sorry for the mistake. So this equation I'll change it. This will be VCN. Let all, since we are considering all, you know, three phase, we consider it as balanced three phase. So all this means all this winding will have same resistance, same inductance. All those things will be same. So that's why we can write this, all this LAA, LBB, which are the self inductances per phase, that can be written as LS, and all this RA, RB, RA can be written as R or RS. You can write it, whatever you want to write it. And all the mutual inductance, LDA, LCA, LCB, all these things can be written as your mutual inductance, M. So you can express it in this and generalize the equation. And next you can write the EMF equation, which is your frequency as a function of your rotor position. Lambda is your flux linkages and your omega. Now, why I am telling you know this equation, this trapezoidal waveform will be formed this way, or it is shown in this way. Why I am showing you this one? Because this is a motor, no problem to this. This part of the circuit we had studied. If you recall, this is an inverter. Q1, Q3, Q5, Q2, Q6, Q4. Okay, VD, supply voltage is a DC voltage, at the output AC. And you know that if you take a 180-degree mode of operation, 3 switches conduct. If you take 120-degree mode of conduction, 2 switches will conduct. So if you know this operation, which we have already discussed in power electronics, so you can easily understand which phase will be operated at which time. Because if you see this waveform, what we have done is that instead of drawing step waveform, we have joined all the peak points and drawn it trapezoidal. So all other operations are same. See, Q1 is starting from this point, Q4 is over there. Since we are taking 120-degree mode of operation, see the gap is how much? 2 pi by 3. So 120-degree mode of operation. Because you know in 180-degree mode of operation, you know that there is a cross conduction fault to be operated. So you can use you have to use 120-degree mode of operation, so that there is some finite gap between switching off of Q1 and on of Q4. So that's why 120-degree mode of operation is taken, and that's why you know all this operation and how this is formed. That's why I'm not explaining all this things. Okay, you can go through all these points and check the inverter, do it over here. So from here, if you see the first operation over here for this small part of the thing, which switch is on Q6, and this is positive part, so Q5. So Q6 and Q5. So Q6 over here gives you which phase? Your B phase. Q5 gives you which phase? C. So you get CB voltage. So accordingly you get CB voltage, so you can draw your CB over here. So all these line voltages, 3 line voltages are drawn over here, right? And 3 phase voltages are drawn over here. 3 phase voltages are drawn over here. You can check onto this. This is starting at 0, this is starting at 120, this is starting at 240. You check this waveform, what we have studied, verify it over here. I'm keeping this as a home task for you. You can understand how this BLDC operates. So basically it is controlled by inverter, which gives the supply to the BLDC motor. Go through this point. And why lastly what I've written, since inverter acts as an electronic commutator, because we are using power electronics over here, so that's why your BLDC is also called as electronically commutated motor.